year that there's been a high-risk severe weather day. The other one about 3 weeks ago on March 14th. So let's break it down. I'll jump down to the green screen. We can break down everything you need to know. I'll answer some questions as well here on the stream. So what we're looking at as we take links one full at the green screen back there, Ethan, we'll continue to keep an eye on the threat for severe weather this afternoon. And that greater threat is towards the west, but the entire tri-state is within that risk. So we'll keep an eye on how that develops over the next couple of hours. The storms tonight bring the potential at dangerous tornadoes with the potential that some of them could be violent and significant. Wind gusts of 70 to 75 miles per hour, if not greater. Hailstones in excess of 2 inches in diameter. And then the flooding threat will increase as well as we head on into the weekend. As for what we're watching right now, radar showing storms towards our north, storms towards our west. Tornado watches out for places like Missouri, Illinois, and even into Arkansas already. Tornado warnings this morning out through parts of the Missouri area. This is a big system, and as we go throughout the rest of the day, the timing of it is really going to be dependent on the speed of that line of storms and how far east it makes it as we head on throughout the rest of our day today. As we jump towards 3 o'clock this afternoon, if we see any clearing, that is bad news. So if you're looking out your window today, you see some sunshine, that's only going to add atmospheric energy for these storms to feed off of. We're already into the mid-70s. We're likely to jump into the upper 70s with the potential that would be close to 80 degrees in some spots today. And a lot of low-level moisture. Wind speeds out of the south today, gusting up towards 40 to 50 miles per hour, and we'll dive into that as well. The timing for this comes in closer to that 8 or 9 o'clock time frame through southeastern portions of Indiana, and then rolls towards the east with the line of storms approaching downtown Cincinnati, most likely between 10 and midnight. You can see some individual cells within that. Those could be embedded supercells, and in an event like today, an embedded supercell brings the potential for damaging winds, large hail, and yes, tornadoes, all part of this line of storms that will be mowing its way eastward. Damaging wind gusts could be a concern as well. We have to watch for bow echoes within these storms. Think of it like a bow and an arrow. And that's the one thing I always tell people. When you see a line of storms and it has a similar bowing feature to that, that apex of that system is where you would think the strongest winds would come through. Just like pulling a bow and arrow in a bow, that bowing segment is where the strongest winds would be, and sometimes they can also lead to spin up tornadoes on either edge as it's kind of a wake, just like a boat going through the water and you see that wake on the back end. Well, that's what our atmosphere does. It's all fluid, and when you start to get those tight wakes at the edge, you start to see those couplets and those tornadoes pop up. So we could also be dealing with that as these storms come through, and these are with us through about 2 or 3 a.m. Very heavy rain within this as well, along with that severe threat for tornadoes, wind, and hail. And again, we'll do it again into Thursday because more rain on the way for Thursday morning. The morning commute will deal with some scattered showers, possibly some heavier rain at times, which could slow things down out the door Thursday. And then more moisture comes in through the middle of Thursday and into the afternoon. More storms as well Thursday evening into Friday with more periodic heavy rainfall, severe weather, and then a flooding threat as well. As for today's significant outlook, this is something we don't see all too often, but we are included within the severe tornado outlook, the significant outlook. That means we've got a greater probability of strong tornadoes, which would be EF2 to EF5. If a tornado develops, it has a greater probability and likelihood to become violent or long track. This includes Cincinnati, Indianapolis, St. Louis, Nashville, Memphis, all the way into Little Rock, Arkansas. This includes a lot of people through the Ohio River Valley, the Mississippi River Valley, and even through parts of the South. So if you know anybody within this polygon, which includes all of us here in the tri-state, it is something that you need to be concerned about this evening. Not trying to scare you here, just getting you prepared for what has the potential to happen later today. To put this in perspective, Sunday, I believe we had 4 tornadoes that were officially declared by the National Weather Service. Well, in this case, we are in a greater threat than what we had on Sunday. So we have the potential to see more tornadoes and stronger tornadoes. Additionally, we are in a hatched area for wind. I know there's a lot going on here on the map, but the thing to keep an eye on, forget about the colors, just know that we have these white lines. And that means that we are in a higher probability that if storms come through with damaging wind gusts, that they could be stronger than 75 miles per hour. And additionally, the tornado risk. As I mentioned, a greater probability as we're in that hatched area. That is where we have the greater threat to see potentially strong tornadoes all the way from the southeast through northwestern portions of Ohio. And the hail outlook showing there is a higher potential as well for probability of 2 inches to 2.5 inches hail. That's the size of a hen egg to about the size of a tennis ball. So keep in mind, all forms of severe weather will be possible. If you have a garage and you can park inside it to protect your vehicle, that is a smart thing to do tonight. If not, you may want to find a parking garage just to park your car if you can, to keep yourself safe from hail damage. But more importantly, keep yourself safe and do not put yourself in danger to try to do any of this. All our threats are in the high category: tornadoes, wind, hail, and flooding. Flooding is more of a concern later on into the week and into the weekend. As for what we're looking at just between now and Friday morning, rainfall wise, 3 to 4 inches of rain just between now and Friday at 5 a.m. And then we'll have another wave come through. And before that second wave comes through Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, we're going to deal with the wind. The wind already out there. The power just went out. And I don't know if I'm still live, but if I am, it's dark in here and you can't see it. But a wind advisory, pretty apropos. Okay, well, we just lost power, and that is pretty apropos because the wind advisory is in effect, and that wind is going to be causing power outages and damage before the storms even get here. That is in effect now through midnight tonight. The entire tri-state is within that, except Adams and Highland County, but we're still dealing with those strong winds out that way as well. Those gusts of 30 to 45, even near 50 miles per hour this afternoon, as you just saw, could be causing some power outages before the severe weather even gets here. So that's why it's important and imperative that you try to charge all of your devices that you will need in the case of an emergency, whether that is your phone, anything that takes batteries. Make sure you have extra batteries for any health-saving devices. If you need insulin, whatever your medication is, you need to make sure you have some additional medication just in case for some reason the storms get to you. But here's a look at those winds as we go through the overnight tonight: 20, 30, 40, 55, 60 mile per hour. And then we'll see the line of storms come through. So a dangerous day today. Another threat tomorrow. A slight risk out for a majority of the tri-state. That includes tornadoes, wind, hail, as well as flooding. And then Friday, we also have another threat. It's a marginal risk. I think it's more so going to be a flooding threat. And speaking of flooding, sticking with the green, a flood watch is in effect from 8 p.m. Wednesday through 8 a.m. on Sunday, as this flood threat really builds through the weekend. A lot of rain coming through. We'll have a fire hose of moisture. That low-level jet stream will continue to pull more and more moisture throughout the area Friday, and then again Saturday. And then another wave comes through Saturday night into Sunday before finally that shifts off towards the east and we get a change in our pattern. But after this is all said and done, many areas are not only going to be colder, but waterlogged. We're going to see potentially 4 to 8, if not 9 to 10 inches in some spots. In fact, towards the south and the west, they're in a PDS flood watch out into parts of Tennessee, Missouri, Arkansas, and I think parts of Kentucky are included in that as well. Extreme southwestern Kentucky, where they could see upwards of 15 inches of rain. Here in the tri-state, the latest projections, 6, 7, even 8 inches of rain for a majority of the area. Very dangerous because not only do we have a flash flooding threat into the end of the weekend, creeks, streams, rivers could rapidly rise, and I wouldn't be surprised if we're talking about the Ohio River flooding as we head on into early parts of the weekend and then early next week. A lot to handle with this forecast. The flooding risk, we are in all of the next 4 days. Here's tonight, here's tomorrow, here's Friday, and here's Saturday. You can see red or yellow for every single day from the Weather Prediction Center, which does mean that we'll be dealing with significant rainfall. So the rest of our day today, we're looking at sunshine, 79. Any sun that we see just adds insult to injury in this case, and that's something we'll have to keep a close eye on because the warmer we get, the worse off things will be as we head on throughout the overnight tonight. As for a couple of your questions coming through, I see Santana and Sparta, Kentucky, you are included in this. Today's high 79 degrees. Again, as I was mentioning, the more sunshine we see, the greater the threat for severe weather. And as you see on your full Super 9 day, we're looking at rain all the way into Sunday. A couple other questions. What are we expecting to be worse tonight? All areas are going to be within the gun. So no area is less than the other when it comes to severe weather out there tonight, Tyler. Everybody is in the threat, in the risk. I'll pop up our tornado, significant tornado outlook. As you can see, the entire tri-state is within that. If you're seeing the red, that means that you are within that greatest threat, and that hatched area we showed a little bit earlier on in the stream. That's where there's a greater probability of strong tornadoes, EF2 to EF5. So very strong storms this evening. Again, I say be prepared, don't be scared. Don't get scared about this, but make sure you're taking the proper precautions now, because when the time does come that you need to take action, you will have already thought it through, and it'll be a much clearer mindset for you. PDS stands for particularly dangerous situation. Yes, we are not in any of those yet. There could potentially be a tornado watch issued. I would guarantee that we will see a tornado watch issued at some point later today from the National Weather Service. Where and when it goes into place, and also till what time, still remains to be the question. I would just assume 3 to 4 a.m., just with the timing of these storms, is when we'll have a tornado watch issued through. It'll probably go into effect later on this evening, probably closer to that 6, 7, 8 o'clock time frame. So just make sure you're staying tuned. Chief Meteorologist Steve Rowley will be in a little bit later on this evening. Meteorologist Jennifer Ketchmark, Cameron Harden, and then KJ Jacobs will be with us into tomorrow morning as well. Again, be prepared. Don't be scared. We are in a moderate risk. So this is something to not turn your nose up to. A moderate risk is the exact same risk we were in a year ago today, April 2nd of 2024, where we had some violent storms come through the tri-state. I think we had 8 to 9 tornadoes that day. So keep in mind, each and every severe weather event is different within itself. You can't compare one to the other. However, Sunday's event was an enhanced risk. This is a bigger event than what we had on Sunday, at least when it comes to severity. As for some other questions, don't be scared, Kiki. What time does it start? Diane, I'll run through the timeline again, but it's more so an overnight event, and that's another thing that you need to be cautious about. If you do decide to go to bed, which is perfectly normal, we all have lives to live, we all have jobs to get to tomorrow, but if you do go to bed, make sure you have multiple ways to get your warnings. Your phone, you have a weather radio, just multiple ways to be warned. Do not rely on a tornado siren, because those are only made to warn people that are outdoors. And again, hopefully you're indoors overnight tonight. As for the timing, 9, 10, maybe even as early as 8 o'clock, we start to see this line of storms come in out of Indiana. It'll be moving with some pace, but once it gets here, it'll probably be about a 2 to 3 or 4 hour path of severe weather, which will start through southeast Indiana around 8 to 9 o'clock, possibly as late as 10, getting closer to Cincinnati, Boone County. So if you're in Florence, if you're in Independence, we're looking between 10 and midnight for that line to come through. Same with Owen County out towards Vevey, Carroll County, Carrollton. You're going to be dealing with that closer to that 9 to 11 o'clock time frame. Westchester, Middletown, probably closer to 11 to midnight. And then this progresses eastward. If you're east of Cincinnati, east of the 275 loop, after midnight is when that threat picks up for you through southwestern Ohio. That'll probably last through 3 a.m. So if you're in Brown County, if you're in Adams County, Highland County, or even into parts of Clinton and eastern portions of Claremont County, as well as Bracken County, Robertson County, and Mason County in northern Kentucky. So Augusta, Kentucky, probably closer to the 1 a.m. time frame. Dry Ridge, probably between 11 and midnight. Owen County, probably between about 10 and midnight as this line comes through. The greater Cincinnati metro, probably looking at a timeline for the greatest threat between 10 and midnight, and that'll roll towards the east. As I mentioned a little earlier into this stream, tornadoes, hail, and wind are all in an elevated category to be more significant than what we had on Sunday. So just make sure you are being prepared. I'll get to the last couple of questions before I wrap this up. But as this comes through, we'll still have some heavy rain on the backside of this. So flooding could be a concern. And as I mentioned a few minutes ago as well, as we get towards the end of the week, a bigger threat for flooding comes through with flood watches in effect for the entire tri-state through 8 a.m. on Sunday. Many areas could be dealing with upwards of 8 inches of rain by the end of the weekend. So once we get through tonight's severe weather event, The risk for flooding picks up towards the weekend. A lot of colors on the map. It may look pretty to you, but those purples, those pinks designate 6 to 10 inches of rain in many areas, especially the further south and west you get. So if you have friends and family out towards Louisville, to the south and west of Louisville, towards Paducah, out towards Owensboro, even out towards Bowling Green, going to be some areas to watch for as well. So again, today is a 9-1 warning weather alert day for the potential at severe weather. We are within the significant tornado outlook. I'll pop that map up one more time. This means that if there are storms that produce tornadoes, there's a greater probability that we could see these develop and become significant and violent tornadoes of EF2 to EF5 in strength. A couple more questions. Will there be breaks through the rest of the week? Yes, there will be some breaks into the morning tomorrow. The first wave comes through about 7 a.m. I believe that was Stephanie who asked. Then we get a break through the midday, another wave of rain midday tomorrow, and then again into the evening. And tomorrow evening brings another threat for severe weather. More questions. Yeah, for those of you asking where should you go, if you have a basement, that is the best place. If not, the centermost part of your house away from windows, closets, bathrooms, if they don't have a window, put as many walls between you and the exterior of your home. If you're in an apartment, if you're in a condo, get down to the bottom floor. Get away from windows. The hallway on the bottom floor will be the best. If you have a parking garage underneath your building, that is a great spot to be. Unless you start to see flooding, then go up one story away from windows within the center of that building. So definitely just make sure you are staying prepared. Any other questions? I can't see any popping up here. So I'm going to say, just make sure you're staying weather aware. We will be in full coverage this evening once the storms move in, and we will not go off air until the threat has diminished. So that could mean a long night, not just for you guys at home, but also here at the station. Just remember, we are here to keep you as informed and as safe as we possibly can. I'm updating our website as we speak. I'll have more videos up there, more information on my Twitter account. If you're there, I'm also on Facebook, meteorologist Brandon Spinner, WCPO. So go ahead on over there. I've got more information about what the tornado outbreak or outlook looks like and what that means for us. And I'll have more information as we go throughout the day there as well. Thank you for joining in this stream for me today. Thank you for asking your questions. Please remember to be safe. We have your side here. We've got your back. So we'll continue to keep you up to date throughout the day. Remember, stay safe, stay calm. The best part of a severe weather outbreak that you need to think about is staying calm, because the calmer you can be, the easier it is for you to take action. Thank you for watching. Hope you have a great rest of your day. And we'll see you tonight at 4, 5, 6, and 7 with more coverage. And then we'll be live not only on air, but if you do lose power tonight, we'll be streaming right here on Facebook as well as YouTube and wherever you stream us online. Thanks for watching. Hope you have a great rest of your day.